You're talking about sign-on bonus specifically.
Yep.
So you asked for $50,000,
and they gave it to me.
And they said, "Yeah, we got you on that." So why would you say you asked for too little?
You should always embarrass yourself and them with your request. And what I mean by that, you should feel uncomfortable asking for. I should have asked for $100,000.
Yeah, $100,000 sign-on bonus.
Because what happens if I ask for 100 instead of 50? When I ask for 50, they give it to me. I ask for 100, they're not gonna go down to 50. They're gonna say, "All right, man, we can get you 80."
Because that's too far of a drop.
We get you 85. All right, that's cool. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
so there's been a lot of talk, mainly from Tech is the New Black and other platforms, where we talk about this being a six-figure industry, making six figures. And honestly, it's kind of like a catchphrase or a buzzword, because most people are just looking to make six figures. Most people are looking to get to that benchmark, which is a great benchmark to strive for. But we honestly should have conversations surrounding, numbers beyond that benchmark. And there are opportunities in this industry that are much further than that. There's a quote that's going around that's it's a false quote that said, "Hey, you can never become rich working a 9-to-5. You can never become rich, or become a millionaire working a job." But that's actually not true. And our guest today is very full aware of the reality that that's not true, and is going to talk about that as well as a variety of other things because of his tenure in this space. So I want to introduce you all to our guest that we have today, Horace.
hey, how's it going?
Hey, bro, it's going so good, dude. Man, bro, thank you. We literally just recently met.
Yeah.
And it was really just a blessing meeting you, just being able to pick your brain, hearing you just willingly share different nuggets of things that you know. And I'm like, yo, because I've been in this space for a year. I've done everything that I could to learn as much as I could learn in this industry. But it's like, man, the real thing is being blessed to meet people like yourself that just has a wealth of knowledge, a larger wealth of experience, and then just is willing to like share it with me. And now coming on Tech is the New Black to share it with our audience.
Yeah. I mean, first, thanks for having me. I could say I've been kind of reviewing and looking over all the stuff you've been doing, man. It's amazing stuff, and you're right. It's one of these things where, like, even when you were just saying it there, it took everything in me when you're like, oh, you can't make millions. I'm like, that's cap, right? Because it's so possible. And I think, I recently told you I kind of switched, from one big company to another, and like everybody I work with is a millionaire, right? And I've made, like I said, we've crossed that threshold a couple times, because of the tenure coming on 8 years. But it was just so eye-opening when you go to another organization and it's like, I literally had guys talking to me like, yeah, if I don't make $1 million, I feel like I wasted my time this year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I'm just like striving for $1 million in 1 year, but they just live it.
Yeah.
And
so yeah, because if they fall, they're saying, yeah, basically if they don't even do at least $1 million that year, then they're, and that's just from, because we want to be clear, because we've had guests on, we've had people on that have talked about, making millions of dollars, but usually it's either because they were job stacking, working at 4 or 5 different companies at once, or it's been people who have talked about, we've had people talk about, investing and doing this, doing that, but it's like the thing that stood out to me about our conversation was that you're talking about making $1 million just from the job. W-2, that's what we call it, right? Man. W-2, right? So yeah. The taxes hurt. Let me be clear about that. It make you change your political affiliations real quick, right? You see you over $100,000 in taxes, and sometimes more than that. It's like, dude, this needs to be different. Yeah. But it's very important to understand that, in the right situations, and I'll kind of walk us through it, right? How I got there, but in the right situations, you'd be surprised what's available out there. I just recently met a guy, who's gotten into RPA. I think I kind of mentioned it to you, that robotic process automation, which is kind of that new stuff like AI and all that stuff, right? Yeah. The guy in his first year made $5 million, right? And whoa. You hear that and, it sounds like, come on, right? Yeah. And I met the guy and he's regular Joe, you know what I mean? Like, and we got to work on, and that's kind of why I'm here too, right? We got to work on more of people like us, our age range, right? Making that a reality, because it is. And I think, and that's why I think it was interesting too, the way we talked about kind of your process and how you got into the industry. Mine was very different. Mm-hmm.
I think they all work though, right? Because there's so many varieties of where people are,
Yes.
you know, in jobs and stuff like that. And I think, you know, it's just about, you got to put in the work, right? You got to be willing to step outside of your box and step outside of your comfort level. And the funny thing, like I always get weary about saying this on camera, right? It's just like, I don't dig ditches. I don't break rocks down into smaller rocks. And what I mean by that is the amount of work that we do, right? You're working with your mind now as opposed to, you know, physical labor and stuff like that.
Putting all that wear and tear on yourself.
Right. You know, I mean, you've been to the crib, right? Like, I look out the window and I'm watching these guys like cut my grass. I'm like, them dudes working hard.
Yeah.
Right. I'm on a call all day, you know, or for hours of the day. So that's something else that I think, you know, once you put in that hard work to get there, it'll obviously pay off, you know, tremendously, you know, and you got to be good too, right? Like, let's not, you know, be remiss about that. You have to be good at what you're doing, right? So there is work, right? I don't ever want to create this illusion like, oh, you're just going to wake up and be a millionaire.
Yeah, just chilling. Yeah.
Like, anybody selling you that, probably don't buy it.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? So, yeah, but it's so much opportunity out here. And I know kind of with the, you know, macroeconomic status of where we are right now, everybody's like, oh, well, tech industries are laying people off and all that. Hey, guess what? That's going to always happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? So now is the time that you prepare, right? Put in the work now, because when they start hiring, be at the front of the line.
Yes, exactly. Because this industry is, even with some of the layoffs happening with different big tech companies, this industry is not going anywhere. Many companies are still hiring.
Yeah.
Most companies are still hiring.
Yep.
And then the industry is only growing larger. So 2 years from now, 3 years from now, there are going to be significantly more tech companies that'll exist a few years from now than even exist right now.
Yeah, and you know, the beauty of like the big tech, I call it like, you got big tech, little tech, you know, I call it the major minor leagues, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm in that major league area, right? So, you know, 7.5 years at Microsoft, now I'm at Salesforce. You know, I've interviewed at, so obviously those two, I've interviewed at Apple, I've interviewed at Google, I've interviewed at Amazon, right?
And that's even just interviewing with those companies says a crap ton just about your resume.
Yeah.
But if like for the audience, a lot of audience are gonna want to know like, yo, your intro, like, how did you get into the industry and where did you start at?
Yeah, so I think it's an entertaining story, but again, it speaks to the work. So, you know, I just looked at my W-2 from 2014, right? 42,000, and in 7 years, I'm over 10x that.
Man.
Right? That's crazy, right? And
that's really crazy.
So 2013, you know, life wasn't where it was supposed to be. I had a daughter. She was, in 2013, she was 7 years old. You know, didn't feel like I was accomplishing what I needed to. I'd been dreading going back to school, right? Graduated from Morehouse. And I'm like, man, I got to do something, right? So I'm like, all right, my closest friend, I think I've told you about him, he and I were like, man, we're going to go to grad school, right? You know, and I'm like, dude, I hate school. Like, and it was, when I look back at it, I'm like, I don't even know why I was saying that, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, applied to grad schools, and because I'm kind of location restricted, I call it, because I wasn't going to leave my daughter. I wasn't going to go off somewhere.
Yeah.
So applied to only 2 schools, Georgia Tech and Emory. Long story short, got accepted to both. My gut just told me Georgia Tech, right? And so ended up going to Georgia Tech, graduated 2015, but I graduated in August of 2015, but I had my Microsoft offer December of 2014, right? And so just imagine what that last 8 months of school was like, bro. It was, you know what I'm saying, easy.
Yeah.
And the crazier part is the reason that I went to grad school, and this is going to sound so silly, but I was on Facebook, because people used to use it back then. And you know how you see something, somebody will give like an update on Facebook, and then like 2 years go by and it looked like all you see is the updates, right? I started school, I graduated, and I was like, you started like 3 weeks ago, you know, and that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
So what I told myself is like, no matter what, time will always keep going.
Yeah.
Right? Now we only have so much, so you got to, you know, maximize it. But that is what triggered me to go to grad school, because I was like, I see people start stuff and then I see people finish, and I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
right?
Bro, I know that feeling so much.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, I know the story, so it's like that, it affects you. If you got any pride or drive about yourself, it affects you, right? So getting to Georgia Tech, and, when I talk about the work, like I was focused. I'm like, and this is my whole thing about invest in yourself, right? People who aren't willing to invest in themselves, it's because they don't believe that they're going to do the work. So those are the people I avoid helping anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, all right, I know this school gonna cost, I think it was $60,000 at the time, but my goal, I think I told you, $100,000.
Yeah.
Six figures.
Yeah, that's six
right?
figures. Yeah.
Right. And so you think like this, it's not a magical number, just for everybody watching. It's like, it's a great number to start. It's where you should start if you can, but if you can go higher than that, definitely go. Anyway, so go to grad school. I actually met with my career counselor before I even went to class, right? So think about what I'm saying. Practicing interviews, practicing my resume, right? Mm-hmm. Tweaking it every time. I would go like once a week. Shout out to Paul Hobson, right?
Oh, so you're saying when you say you met with him before class, that wasn't just one time. That was like a constant thing.
Every week.
Okay.
Right. And that's the work nobody sees. Nobody sees me leaving work early, going to meet with Paul for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. He would give me one interview question, and we would review the resume, and he was like, change one line. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
Right? Just to make it more efficient and better, right? So put in the work with him every week, just to make sure I was ready. And I remember he told me, he's like, yeah, man, because I've always been in sales, right? So he's like, yeah, man, they got sales jobs out there where you can make $90,000 base and commission. I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? I'm coming from 42,000, bro.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like,
I remember you had told me at first, you were kind of like, for real? Like,
bro, it was, again, and that's what I hope to accomplish with kind of, and why, I told you, I was like, man, I want to engage because it's like a secret.
Yeah. Right?
Like, I go to work, everybody got millions, and they look like regular people. Yeah. And most of them don't look like us, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So, like I said, met with him, was preparing myself, get through the first year. And I remember my first semester, it was like, it's Georgia Tech, man, it's going to be hard. I'm only going to do 2 classes a week, and graduate in 3 years. I got through that first semester and remembered who I was, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to get this done in 2 years because I'm trying to get up out of here.
Yeah. Switch
to 3, start going, right? So then during the time I was working, like I said, 42 grand. I was like a rep for Nokia at the time, and this is right when Microsoft acquired them. So they were putting Windows Mobile. So it was like I had some connection to Microsoft. Nothing serious, right? Just knew about it. So then, he tells me about this event called National Black MBA Career Fair.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so I hate to admit this, first time I heard about it, I was like, I don't know about that, man. That sounds kind of like career fair in the hood. Like,
Career fair in the hood.
I hate to be like that, right?
Yeah, but that's where you were at.
I was. And it was because of my ignorance. I was wrong. So I get to this career fair, and I don't know, like I said, I'm from Chicago, so we used to go to the auto show as a kid. So, like, you go into, like, at the time it was in Atlanta. I was lucky because if it was somewhere else, I probably wouldn't have gone. Georgia World Congress Center, and it's like the auto show. It's like, company names hanging from the walls, and they got the booths, and they got lines. And I'm like, this is incredible.
That was legit.
Right? So I'm on it, right? Because I've been practicing. I go to Coca-Cola, Delta, Janssen Pharmaceuticals, Chrysler. Chrysler grabbed me just walking by, right? And I was ready, bro. Like, the lady from Delta was like, you give what you call an elevator pitch, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's like 20, 30 seconds of who you are and why you're there, what you're capable of. She's like, man, you was practicing that. I was like, yeah, I was, right? So all the while, back to Paul Hobson, he told me I need to meet this guy, Cedric, got to meet him, because he graduated the year before me and went to Microsoft. And we know Microsoft, but you don't know anybody that really works there.
Yeah, exactly.
If you really think about it, most people don't know somebody that works there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, man, I'll meet him, because he like pushing them on me. So I see the guy at the career fair. He too busy. I couldn't talk to him. They had an event they invited me to afterwards. So Poor Calvin's Asian Fusion. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go. I go in there. The guy's like in the corner, 30, 40 people around him. I can't get to him. So this is where, I talk about, like, you can go to events and they got free drinks. They bought out the whole, you can go in there and have a good time or soft network, right? But I'm on a mission, bro. Like, I got to change my life.
Yeah, you ain't there to play.
Right. So we're in there, talked to a girl, tried to get an interview set up the next day. She told me I got an interview. So I'm like, bet, got the interview. I had like 5 of them. So I get in there, I see him leaving. And I'm like,
this is the big dog, the dude you said all the people were around.
This is the guy in the corner, right? That went to Georgia Tech, graduated a year before me. I'm like, I know what to do. I go walk him to him. I see him outside. I'm like, hey, man, you leave? Yeah, man, I'm getting out of here, whatever. I'll get you a ride back to the hotel. Right? Now I got him. He in the car.
Exactly.
Not that I was, kidnapping. But you get the one-on-one time, right?
Yeah.
So get in the car, man. We pull into the Ritz-Carlton, a couple blocks from here, actually,
No,
right?
it's actually just across the street.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, from here.
Pull into that driveway, right? Anybody know Atlanta? You pull into that driveway.
Yep.
It was crazy. I met my daughter's mother at this same place.
Oh.
Crazy,
Wow.
So sitting in the driveway, he spent like 30, 40 minutes with me. And bro, what he told me changed my life, dog. Like, I still feel it, you know what I'm saying, when I talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I want to get out of here, make $100,000. $100,000.
Yeah.
That boy sat there and told me, he's like, yeah, man, so I'm in San Francisco, so the numbers are a little inflated, but my base is 120. At the time, you got 67% kind of guaranteed on top, right? Because you're a first year or whatever. And so, quick math, that's 80 on top of the 120, so that's 200.
200, yeah.
He got $45,000 just to sign.
A 45K sign-on bonus. Oh my gosh.
Then they gave him $50,000 in stock, and back then Microsoft stock was like $38 when he started, maybe less than that. Just for the record, Microsoft's been as high as 300, until obviously this little turn. Yeah. So that's where you talk about, like, you're amazing millions because they give you these stock bonuses.
Yes.
And if you do it right, just let it sit there.
Yeah.
Right. You don't need that money, right? If you manage it right. So, bro, like, I'm sitting there doing the math. I'm like, bro, this is with $300K. I was like, all right, man. So I know where I'm gonna work.
Yeah.
I wasn't playing, bro. Like, laser focused in, right? So no more. I did the other interviews out of respect.
Yeah.
Get to the Microsoft booth for that interview. We don't have your name. But I talked to somebody yesterday, man. We don't have your name. So again, you got to go into like that hustle mode, right? You got to go into how to, manipulate that and how to kind of keep that going in your favor, right? So I talked to someone at the booth to kind of give me the follow-up. I found the girl who gave me the first interview,
yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. So I get her to kind of lock in and be like, you know what, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. So she gets me an interview on campus. Now, the process for on campus is that you have to be a part of the program, right? And so what I mean by that, they have a process where you get into it so that you can have access to the companies when they come on. I got an exception because I wasn't ready to do it yet, but I was still putting all my eggs in this basket. Mm-hmm. Get a call from the school, hey, Microsoft has requested you to interview. All right, so the plan's going. So then go to the interview, killed it. Like, the guy in the interview says, you know more about Microsoft than people I work with. But again, because I prepared, what I'm saying? That's that work that nobody sees. So then, I'm assuming I get the last, final round interview and all that stuff. So then this is in September. Into September, October go by, November goes by. I don't hear anything.
Yeah, and that's weird.
Right?
With the dude give you that compliment.
Exactly. So I say to my son, I'm like, man, either you sit here and do nothing. Like, nobody's waiting to call you to give you money.
Yeah.
That's what I try and tell people, bro. Like, don't just sit around thinking like, oh, somebody's going to call me and give me
Yeah.
Even
the notion, I've seen people for years, and this is when I was broke. I actually got very frustrated with this statement where people would say like, hey, it's all just going to work out. Like, it'll just all work out. And I realized very quickly, no, it won't all just work out. You got to go out and do the work.
You have to make it happen, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
no one's coming to save you.
Anything significant, let's say, right? Like, yeah, certain lucky things can happen, right? You may find $12 on the ground, but it's not typically going to change your life, right? So, I reach out to the interviewer, right? And I'm like, hey, man, I feel like I know it wasn't even like unsure, right? You had to be assertive. I was like, I know we had a good interview.
Yeah.
I remember what you told me. Long story short, he makes it happen. Recruiter calls me within a day. Like actually it was like within a couple hours. Get the final round set up in Charlotte in December, right? So go up, do the final round. It went well. Like I said, the deck I felt like was almost in my favor. 2 out of 3 people went to Georgia Tech. I'm like, I got this.
Yeah.
And they went well, the interviews, except the one. So then the one, unfortunately, was the guy with the highest rank. I think I told you. He's like taking calls in my interview. His wife's tire was flat. I start off because I like to break the ice with like sports or something. We talked about Cam Newton, and he was like, yeah, he just talks too much. I'm like, oh, God.
Man.
I'm dead in the water here, right? But again, I could just fold, or I just kept going, and I kept going. So I get a call that Tuesday. That was a Friday. I get a call on Tuesday from the recruiter, and she says, hey, they liked you. They just want to see a little bit more. I'm calling around to the guys, right? Now, before the final round interview, let me back up again to speak to the work. Like Cedric and a lot of people in the industry, and this is what I think kind of what I can bring to the table for those watching, right, is the networking. The people at Microsoft that I did not know, they didn't know me from anything other than the guy who was referring me and some other internal people I'd met were like, hey, can you help this guy prepare? So generous with their time, so helpful, dog. It was amazing, right? Like that people would invest that time. And even Cedric. I remember one time I was at the house, stuff was crazy. I went and sat in the garage in the car to get away from everybody, and for like an hour, Cedric giving me gold, right? Just giving me notes so I can, because this is my shot, man.
Yeah.
I interviewed with Apple many years ago and didn't get it, and that's a whole crazy story, no time for that now, but I deserved it but didn't get it, let's just say that. Because same thing, the guy in the interview was like, literally said, how do you know so much about this company? I was like, this is, to me, it's like, bro, it's easy to study and read. Like, what do you think, I'm not capable of learning or something? Right. So anyway, so I'm doing all that studying, doing all that preparation, which got me ready for the final interview. So then, like I said, Tuesday, you need to come and present in person. And I met one other person, like calling around all the people that, the network that kind of started building. And one other person had to do this. So she was in Boston. So she talked me through it. She forgot to give me the most important piece of gold. And I think I told you about this. They give me a deck to present. Bob gave me a deck to present. So I'm looking at the deck, and in my mind, maybe because I'm in school, my mind is set on like plagiarism, right? Like, I don't want to copy somebody, right? And so I sat up all night till 1:30 in the morning changing the entire deck, because I didn't want to plagiarize, not knowing the way that they operate. They all just use a centralized deck, right? Only thing I didn't change were the graphics, because it was like about the cloud and they were so nice. I'm like, I don't know where else to get. You know what I'm saying? So I just changed words, went in there, presented it, blew them away. Like, and again, to the point where this is when you interview well, when they ask you in the questions during the interview, like how did you put this together? And I'm like,
So what was their reaction when they saw that you had switched that you basically built it yourself? You created your own deck.
Bro, they looked up the author of that deck and saw it wasn't me. And I thought I was in trouble because they were just trying to figure out where I got it from, right? Because it was so good that they went to look at the author, right? Whereas I take it, initially you may want to take that as an attack, like, nah, man, I wasn't copying. They wanted to know why it was so good.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? It's it's a shift in perspective, right? So like we look at it, and maybe not we, but I think a lot of people, you think you're always being attacked or wrong, but it's just like, no, it's just understanding, you know? And so, man, so got through the interview, got the offer. I remember everything, man. So for me, crazy thing, because I was staying in Atlanta, because I got lucky with that because my daughter was here, right? That was my request to be in Atlanta. First offer was 5X, actually over 5X.
5X of the 42.
Of the 42.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Right, 100,000 base. They upped the guarantee to 82%. So that's 182. I got 35,000 to sign. I got 50,000 in stock.
Oh man, that's good.
that's just starting, bro.
Yeah,
right?
that's starting out.
And so, when you think about that, and like I said, you take those years and you talk about, like, it's not always, oh, I made $1 million this one year, right? Those are great years, but you stack that up over time, and if you're doing it right, you know what I'm saying? Like, your life changes, man.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, but yeah, that's the story, man. That's how I got in. And I think at this point, like, I say Microsoft because, again, that's the majority of my experience, but I probably gotten over 30, 40 people, man, because what I started to do is make sure that, I was helping other people to get in, right? Because I felt like all the work that people did for me that didn't know me from anything, I got to pay this back, man. And so that's kind of what got me on the mission. And then, like I said, when I met you and, how we got introduced and stuff, I'm like, I already been doing this for 7 years, right?
Yeah,
so it's like, it's time to, really start to give it back and kind of actualize it. But, it's like then you start to deal with how much time do you have, and so you run out of time, so.
Hey, y'all, we have some incredible news that I'm super excited about to finally announce our private tech community. Yes, you heard that right. A private tech community exclusively for you all who want more than just a podcast. You want more than just the FAQs. You want to talk with tech recruiters. You want to talk with hiring managers. You want to talk with coaches. You want to talk with people that can help with editing and rewriting your resume. Maybe you're somebody where you just want to be a part of a community where we're talking about updates of what's happening in the software industry. Y'all, this community that we've launched is also going to involve a Discord where we're going to be talking about updates in tech. We're going to be talking about companies that are hiring. We're going to be talking about upcoming tech events. So that way you don't have to miss any of the gems that I know, but not even just what I know, but the gems that friends of mine that are also in the tech industry know as well. So if you want to be a part of that community, go ahead and sign up so that way you can join us. We have a few different tiers. Ultimately, it's all tuned in for you. Oh, and last thing, also within this community, we're going to be streaming all of our interviews with our podcast guests. So instead of you having to wait months to watch the videos later on, you will actually be able to watch the interviews in real time and ask your live questions to those guests. So make sure you join our tech community.
I know it's a long story, but I think it's a quality story to talk about.
Definitely.
Just the work that it takes to get into that position.
And I think the other value in that story is just hearing all the things that you went through. And I mean, you were incredibly laser focused on one company and how just your level of dedication, your level of just sticking to it. And it's like, man, you actually got that. And oftentimes I think I see a lot of people that want to get in the industry, whether they want to be at a specific company or they're just trying to be in the industry in general. And they seem to, they get 20, 30, 40, 50 rejections from different companies. And then they're like, oh, nobody's hiring, no one wants me. And I'm like, man, y'all give up way too easily.
100%. And I think when you talk about give up, right, the problem is because if you try and do something on your own in isolation that you don't know about, right, you're most likely not going to be able to do it well, And so that's why I think, again, I could have been like, all right, well, I'm going to just get heads down and prepare for Microsoft by myself.
Yeah.
But no, I utilized every tool that was available, every person that was available, right? And it just improves your chance of success, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not doing that in a kind of thoughtful way, again, we talk about it's not as difficult as people think. That's true. But it's not easy.
Yeah, definitely not.
You know what I mean? And so I never want to create this illusion like, oh, yeah, you just go apply online and you'll end up with a $300,000 offer.
Yeah, no, it's not like that at all.
Piece of cake, right?
But so speaking, so you touched on the how you 5x your first job was 5x your 42,000, and you also broke down kind of those numbers and things like that. But since then, now you're at least 10x what that 42,000 was in the 7 years you've been in the industry. But you were sharing how you've met some guys where you're like, yo, they're making millions of dollars just working in this industry. And you had shared that with me when we had first met. Like, what was, I guess, just really so everyone else can experience that story the same way I experienced. Like, what happened?
So really, it was just time for me to, so they always talk about the best raise you can get is switching companies. And I think you talk about this a lot, right? Like, you want to jump around especially like I said, when you get into like those major league level tech, like they're fighting for the talent because there's just not that many people. I think there are, right? But they only give that opportunity to so many people, right? So, kind of like got into a situation, and I think we talked about comfort, right? Like comfort is a slow death. I saw that up on a flag in a coffee shop, and I was like, that's amazing, actually, right? And I actually told one of my close friends, I'm like, we're too comfortable, man. You just don't want to ever be in a situation where you rely on these things, right? So basically got into a situation, got a new manager, didn't like it. You know what I mean? And so it caused me to start looking outside. And like I said, it was really stepping outside of that comfort level, that comfort zone. So, got into this new company, right? And I'd heard about it, but I'd known some people who had gone there before me. So that, again, kind of thing, right? Like, let somebody else lead the way. All right, it's safe to come now, right?
That's funny.
Yeah. And so, but they had nothing but good things to say. And so, they kind of, again, gave me the guidance, right? Helped me know what kind of job I wanted, what kind I didn't, right? Like, I'll say this, the recruiting experience at different companies, completely different, right? There's some who are just A1. I'm never going to bash anybody, but some who are just not good. Like they just don't pour the necessary resources in for the size of the organizations, right? And so with that, right, this new one that I'm in, right, it was outstanding. And so what it allowed me to do was really kind of feel my way around into what I wanted to get into. Now, to be fair, I was performing at a high level prior to that based on the role that I had gotten into, right? My last role at Microsoft. So obviously that matters, right? So again, you still have to perform. You got to be good. You got to work hard, right? But, that paves the way to make the next moves easier. So, but yeah, it was based upon, just being able to like get in the door. And then once I got in, you get in there and you start looking around, anything, right? You kind of surveying the room and you're like, wait a minute. Like all these people make crazy money.
Yeah.
And then like they start talking about people they know. And that's how I found out about the robotics guy, right? He's like, yeah, man, he's like, this guy made $5 million his first year. I was like, I'm sorry, where did he work? I'm not telling you, 'cause, bro, me, like I'm after it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but understanding kind of newness and trends. And that's another thing, right? Understand kind of what's been sold, what's been oversold. There's certain things that people just, they're going to buy it, but is it really growing?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? If I had to pick two, like if somebody was telling me, hey, if you want to go into a new job, new technology area right now, what would they be? For me, artificial intelligence.
AI is crazy right now.
It's crazy, and it's such a broad term. Yeah. The other one is that RPA, it's robotics process automation. And for those watching, what that means is like you think about like a car manufacturing line, right? You could have a person standing there putting windshields on, right? What are your limitations? That person needs brakes. That person's going to do it different ever so slightly, but they will do it different every time. You got to continually pay them. You got to pay them higher over time. They got to go home and sleep at night.
Injured, work complaint.
Robot do it perfect every time. Robot work 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why, you got to get into these things that give you the ability to kind of continue to not be replaced by a robot.
Yeah. And one of the things I always, because I see online, people are always like fearful, like, oh man, these robots are replacing our jobs. No, they're replacing the low wage jobs.
Right.
There's an opportunity.
They also Create jobs.
Exactly.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. It's like the Willy Wonka, whatever, the newer Willy Wonka movie they had with Johnny Depp, where the grandpa, he had lost his job to this robot, and they were all sad. And then the end of the movie, everybody's story has to get tied up in a nice little bow. And his story got tied up where it's like, hey, he lost his job to the robot, but he got a better job being the mechanic for the robot to fix it.
There you go.
And it's like, that's literally what this industry is. It's like replacing things, but it's creating better opportunities.
Yeah, like don't ever let yourself be caught on the train track. You know what I mean? Like just step aside and jump on the train.
I love that.
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people want to just be like, oh, the train's coming and I'm on the tracks. It's like, Well, yeah, trains always are coming though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what, like, people who made bikes was like, oh man, they got cars now. You know, like,
Yeah.
it's always going to happen. You just have to step aside, get it back together, and hop on the train.
I love that.
You know, because like they just opened in Texas, they opened the first like unmanned McDonald's or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's happening in like not necessarily the McDonald's, but different versions that are happening in multiple. I was at this guy, this guy Rob Coates, really successful guy in sales, and I was at his crib in Miami. His building, I don't know the name of his building, but it's number one with amenities in America. There's no like luxury apartment building with more amenities, and it has 7 pools. Like it's so much. I could go over there. It's crazy. Yeah. But they also have a convenience store in the building that's 24/7 that has 0 workers in it. The convenience store
Amazon concept.
is yeah, exactly. You just go inside, you grab whatever you want. You just like either, you know, if like I'm not a tenant there, so I had to go up to the thing and scan stuff, whatever. Yeah. But they have a thing on there where you can just put your thumbprint and it buys everything, or it scans. You can just walk out, and I'm like, that's actually crazy.
and that's the irony for, like, you know, anybody who does those kind of, you know, entry level, we'll call them, jobs, right? Like, to me, it's like, you know, y'all need to be doing the best you can with this, because they're doing everything they can to replace you. Like the ordering thing for the McDonald's, I saw that on a Microsoft like screen. They showed us how the language and all that worked. It was like 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my point is just like, it's coming. Just be prepared to understand how to be able to do, you know, you got to become a Swiss Army knife, right?
Yeah.
And that's my whole thing and my love, you know, because my actual job is sales, right? So that's why I love it so much, because I'm like, man, you know.
Are you considered is it tech sales?
Yeah, 100%. I sell software, right? I work directly for Tableau, right? Tableau is data and analytics, right? We help the world visualize data is our tagline kind of thing, right? And so, you know, but even with that, right, it has like this upside that I saw, you know, kind of as I was looking to kind of make a move. And, you know, even on my LinkedIn, I talk about being on the data and analytics frontier, because the market is only 25 to 30% saturated for business users. When you think about analytics, it's mainly like these analysts, these business analysts or data scientists. They're the ones who gather and, you know, put together all the information. But the business people still have to somehow understand it.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is building that bridge, and this is my whole thing I've brought to work, and everybody's like, man, that's a good way to, but it's building the bridge between analysts and business users, right? So that when I take data, okay, yeah, I could look at I don't care how pretty it is, right? If I still have to like figure out what it's telling me, it's not as useful, right? Yeah. So what we do is kind of like, we have new stuff coming that's going to build that bridge, right? So that your average business user will get a report, read through it, and say, all right, I know what the data's telling me, right? Like, we need more shovels in store B because it's snowing there and it's not snowing in store A, so move the shovels, right?
Yeah.
You know,
instead of them having to just look through be like, okay, I see the percentages, I see the data,
exactly.
I see the analytics,
right.
But okay, what does this mean to us? What should we now do and implement within our business? But instead, it's actually telling them not just the data and the analytics and the numbers, but it's actually suggesting, hey, based on this, you might need to do this.
It's giving you the action. Decision analytics actually is kind of what it is, right?
Yeah,
and so it's a big deal. And I mean, no matter what you're passionate about, right? Like, I never thought about it in this simplified version. We all like love football. Everybody loves football apparently, right? So like, you think about like somebody running the 40-yard dash. There's data and analytics in this, right? Because if you don't time how long it took him to run it, you have no data. You don't know. Like, how does he get better if you didn't time it?
Yeah.
Because he just runs it again and you're going to eyeball it like, oh, that seemed faster. Right?
It seemed faster.
And I'm oversimplifying, but think about it. That's where it is. So then you just start to magnify that, right? You know, and across like these huge companies, and everybody knows how to gather data. Not a lot of people know how to use it, right? And so that's kind of what I saw as the opportunity when I decided to kind of, you know, make the move, right? I'm like, there's still a lot of upside here. So, you know, obviously I care about the money, right? And then,
of course.
and I'd say the best thing they told me in my recruiting process, they were like, yeah, so, this is what your offer's going to be, $50,000 a sign. Yeah. And I asked for too little because they gave me exactly what I asked for. And I was like,
yo, so one of the most in-demand roles in tech and one of the most roles that you all ask us about the most is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is one of the most recession-proof style jobs in tech. And to take it a step further, it's also a job where you can make a crap ton of money in this industry. Many of you have been asking us about the best route to get into cybersecurity. There are a few different routes that you can go, a couple different boot camps that I think are really great for cybersecurity. But recently we just partnered with one called Syntax Technologies. They are one of the most highly rated boot camps in the US. And to take it a step further, their boot camp isn't just under $5,000, but also they provided us with a unique discount to provide to our audience. So that way you all do not have to pay the full price for the boot camp. This also involves any discounts they might have, any special sales that they might have. You can use this discount on top of their discount, their sale. Now listen, y'all, their cohorts are limited. They only have about 3 cohorts a year, and it's on a first come, first serve basis. So make sure you go ahead and sign up ASAP so you can speak to an advisor, and that way you can enroll in Syntax Technologies and become a cybersecurity analyst.
So what do you mean by that? Like when you say, okay, they gave me exactly what I asked for. You're talking about sign-on bonus specifically. Yep. So you asked for $50,000,
and they gave it to me.
And they said, yeah, we got you on that. So why would you say you asked for too little?
You should always embarrass yourself and them with your request. And what I mean by that, you should feel uncomfortable asking for. I should have asked for $100,000.
Yeah, 100,000 sign-on bonus.
Because what happens if I ask for 100 instead of 50? When I ask for 50, they give it to me. I ask for 100, they're not going to go down to 50. They're going to say, all right, man, we can get you 80.
Because that's too far of a drop.
We get you 85. All right, that's cool. Right? Yeah. And I've done that for people, man. And I was kind of, I kind of kicked myself about that one. I ain't going to lie to you, right? Yeah. But because I know I maxed out the base and all that, and that's great, but I'm signing bonus. It's just such easy money, dog. It come on like that first or second check. For what? What did I do?
You signed.
I left here to come. You know what I mean? I'll never forget my close friend. She went to Google, and she was so focused on the base salary, right? Because it was going down by 8,000 or 9,000 or whatever. And then they offered her stock, and I was like, ask for 300. And she's like,
300,000?
300,000 in stock. Think about that number, right? And people don't think about stock as it's so real.
Yeah.
Right? Simple, quick math here, right? You get into a company, you ask for 300,000 stock, they give it to you. That means you have 1,000 shares. Let's say the company stock at $300, so you have 1,000 shares. You're there for 2 years. The stock goes from 300. Typically, it goes up, right? They're technology companies too, so they go up a little faster. Let's say in 2 years, it goes from 300 to 420, right? Which is what? That's 120. That's about 40% up. So it goes there. That means those 1,000 shares that you got at 300 are now worth 420,000, right? What did you do to make them go? You didn't do anything. Right? I know a guy, man.
You didn't even have to financially invest into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then you also can buy the company stock at discounts. Like we'll do that on another time. But yeah. All the packages, because I've heard you talk about some, bro. Them benefits crazy.
Yeah.
Like Microsoft has free healthcare. Like you don't pay for healthcare. You know what I mean?
Oh man, my second tech company UKG was like that. And at first I thought I was tripping when I was looking over. I was like, no. I was looking through, and even Auzsha was looking, and they even have it to where your domestic partner, it's like stuff is covered.
Bro, yeah. That was the thing I thought was so crazy when I went to Salesforce. They were like, what are your pronouns? Like they're so open-minded, you know what I'm saying, and being considered. And that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Like I know for some people like Google, like for women will freeze their eggs. I mean, they have amazing benefits, man.
Yeah.
Amazing benefits.
Yeah, it's
right?
insane. So I do want to, because there's a couple things, we're getting a little short on time. There's a couple things. One, you mentioned, you used a football analogy, and obviously we're talking about, the benefits, the money, and football analogy made me think about, I was in this Uber recently, and the Uber driver was sharing a story about one of his nephews who was supposed to play in the NFL, but he got into he got some injury, and because he got some injury, he was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to play in the NFL anymore. So then he basically squandered off his life, started doing drugs, was in a trap house, and long story short, ended up raping a young woman. So now he has that on his record as a rapist. So now his life is virtually over now, and he's in his early 20s. And I was sitting there talking to the Uber driver, and the Uber driver was like, yeah, man, once he realized he wasn't going to be able to play football anymore, he felt like everything was over, so he just threw his life away. And I sat there, and I just, out of curiosity, looked up how much, like, football players make. And I sat there, and I was like, I told the Uber driver, I was like, I make around about what football players make. And that junk set in with me. I said, like, NFL players, that junk hit me.
You too loud.
And so, but that's definitely the case for yourself as well.
Yeah.
So can you please give perspective? Because especially like people who look like us, our community is so fixated on rappers, athletes, producers. And of course, even if we talk about rappers, and if people actually understood how their deals are cut up and how most of the stuff they're flexing is stuff that they're going to be paying back for years anyway, if it's not like a rental just for a music video or just for, whatever. It's like, in this industry, can you speak to, like, I guess, why people who look like us, who want to be rappers or athletes because they want that money, should really look at this industry as another option, as an alternative?
100%. So I give credit again to one of my friends about that, right? He made that comment to me, and I was just kind of like, and I never thought about that. Like, so for perspective, I thought about kind of like this most recent deal. I didn't say I signed it, but you signed the offer or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like if somebody positioned it to me, say, hey man, we're going to get you a 5-year, $2.2 million contract. Would you sign that?
Yeah.
Of course. Right. And then I thought about it. Like, that's what I just did. You know what I'm saying? If I stay there 5 years, and that's the minimum, if I never get a raise, if I never exceed my commission, quota number, right? That would be the minimum.
Yeah.
And so like, for people out there, everybody, see, we get so fixated thinking NBA, we think LeBron, right?
Yeah.
NFL, you think Tom Brady, or, like most of the people in the league make the minimum, especially in baseball, right? Minor leaguers, all that. Go look up those minimum salaries. Just look up, NBA minimum salary. NBA is kind of high because it's, so few guys. But like, look at the NFL minimum contract, right? Mm-hmm. So to your point, and theirs is like, I think 3 years is the average span, right?
So they're not even able to continue making money from it as years go by.
Right. Like what we do, say you get in there at 25, 28, 27, right? You got a good 20, 30 years if you want. And then once you cross like them 10 years, like, because it's always going to be going up, right? Like you have to compound that, right? You can only play basketball or football for 15 years typically. Yeah, that's a very long career.
The average career lasts 3.5 years.
Exactly. Right. So yeah, no, it's crazy, man. I mean, you've been to the crib, like, what it's like. Yeah,
your crib is nice.
Yeah, like
it's nice. It's nice.
I don't hate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's nice.
I think that's the thing that I think what made me really be like, all right, man, let me get up out the box and just stop living in secret. Because see, I'm doing what I see the people I work with do, right? They just walk around, make these millions, and don't nobody know.
Just be chill, be quiet, and not even putting other people on.
Yeah, they let the wrong dude in, man. Like, I'm telling people, bro. Like, because it's that alternative, like you say. And I think that if people knew to strive for this type of stuff, mm-hmm. then it's like, oh, like you said, that guy wouldn't have thrown his life away, man.
Yeah.
And I still think there's a chance for him, right? I think, one of my boys, like, we all know homeboys, right? Like, got a little bit of a record. And so we've been talking about it. And, I kind of mentioned the boot camp stuff because there's remote roles that you can still do. Like coders, don't nobody check their record?
Man.
And how much coders make?
A crap ton.
You know what I mean? So that's the other thing. I think we can appeal with this life, right? There's so many different levels, right? Like, you may not be able to get inside and go be customer facing or something like that, but it's still a space for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of been my mission, man. Like, before it was just like, oh, I'm gonna do the right thing. People help me. But, and I think I told you about it. Like, you have to charge people because you're not paying me like necessarily for my knowledge. You're paying me for my accountability. I want to give you the knowledge. but I don't have all the time anymore,
Yeah.
right? So when I charge people to do it, you're paying me to be accountable to you to deliver on what I'm saying, right? Because if not, you're like, hey, man, help me out. And I'm like, yeah. You know, I tell people all the time, your first couple messages to me for free, I just ignore them. And the reason is, and this is an important point to make, is because I want to know how bad you want it, right? The people who keep messaging me are the ones I respond to. I don't, now, if you're paying me, I have to respond.
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because what's going to happen after 3 messages? Most people be like, oh, he's too busy. I don't want to bother him. Goes back to our point. No one is going to call you to offer you a job at fill in the blank big tech company.
Yeah.
You got to put in the work somewhere.
Yeah.
You got to invest in yourself, right? They go buy a designer. They go do nails. They go do haircut. I ain't got that haircut problem, but I've heard haircuts cost $100
Eric
now,
doesn't
right?
either.
Right. But I've heard, bro, like haircut be $100. I'm like $100.
Yeah.
And that's fine, right? But you're investing all of that is still investing in yourself. You go out to eat, which to me is the biggest scam ever.
Oh yeah.
You go out to eat because we all know where that food end up in a couple of hours, bro. Like, just throw the money straight in the toilet. This is a joke, but think about what I'm saying, right? So all I'm saying is invest in yourself. When you find somebody that you believe in, it ain't got to be me, whoever it is, you're paying them for their accountability.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's one of the key things out there, man. And again, don't quit. Like, if you find me on LinkedIn, and, you know, we'll follow up with all the social information, but you find me, like, we just naturally busy, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's the person who keeps after me is the one that's, and I say the same thing for recruiters. Look, recruiters are overworked. So if you aren't the one that, you know, whether the squeakiest wheel gets the oil or whatever, if you're not that squeaky wheel, it fixed itself. Do you ever pay attention when it fixes itself? You know, and like I said, man, it's just, we gotta be better as far as like going after what we want and holding ourselves accountable, you know, and then like I said, you'll get that response. Because I'll tell you first thing, like, it'll be 3 weeks later, but somebody, you know, hit me like 5 times and I'm just like, let me knock this out, right? Send their resume to the recruiter, blah, 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 do the referral, and it's done, right? Yeah. But it was because they were persistent and I knew that they wanted it.